So this video is going to be about survival mode. Very important thing to get out of. We do not want to be stuck in survival mode. Hey, welcome back to another video. Anyway, today we're going to be talking about healing from survival mode. The first steps you can take, the first things you can notice to get out of survival mode. Now, in case you're unclear what being in survival mode, it may look like being stuck in that freeze state where you're not doing anything, as it sounds. You can't really get yourself to do anything. You feel like you're stuck. You don't know what to do, or you may feel a lot of anxiety. You may feel like you're always rushing and you want things to go faster. And this can also manifest physically in multiple ways, one of which being digestion issues, because when you're in survival mode, digestion is not an essential function, so it will put that one to the side. And so then problems pertaining to that can start to arise as well. So if you notice these type of things, if you're stressed all the time, then this is the video for you. So in this video, I'm going to give you a few examples of different ways that survival mode and those feelings can show up. And just so you're aware of the type of things to look out for, even if I'm not saying your situation exactly, it should be able to help you realize similar areas that you may be also experiencing this. So this video is going to be mostly the surface level type things. The most important thing when you're trying to work through something is first acknowledging it and seeing where it's showing up in your life. And so when you start to see where it's showing up in your life, then you're able to catch that and then start working through it and see where it shows up and what you might need in order to fix the problem. It may show up in different areas of your life. It may show up in how you respond in relationships, friendships, or romantic partners, family relationships. It could be in career. So we're going to jump into some of these examples that you can look out for, or that might help you see what to look for. So something I noticed that I was doing, and another way I forgot to mention that manifests in the body, is always being tense, maybe in different areas for everybody. Specifically, mine was always neck and shoulders, where I was very tight. And honestly, throughout my entire body, there was a lot of tension, and I'm still working to get rid of that tension. And when it's so built in to your life, and it's been like that for years or most of your life, it does take a little bit of patience in order to work your way out of that and see what other ways it's showing up in your life. Because once you work through the main ones, then you're going to start to see the smaller ones, which you didn't know were also intertwined with all of that. So if this happens for you and you find yourself being really tense at the end of the day or just all the time, so for me, because this happens to me a lot and it has been a big problem throughout my entire life or most of my life, I started paying more and more attention to when I was tensing up, and then I would actively release, take a breath, remind myself that everything's okay. Every example on this list today, actually, every problem I have on this list, for me, incorporated the tension in with it. So this tension is basically like your body's preparing with some sort of fight or flight or freeze response. So one of these things could be happening for you. So if you can identify which one, or they could be showing up multiple different ones in different places. For example, somebody may have a problem with being flighty in relationships. They tend to run from them even when they're healthy. And then at the same time, maybe and then this person may be in the freeze state when they're working towards their goals. I think about it like an author with writer's block. There's so many different ways that these can show up. So if you can look at areas of your life where you're seeing fight, flight, or freeze state, acknowledging those is very important, and then you can start to work through those problems. It's like your body's constantly being prepared to be chased by a predator like a lion or a bear or something, because those are our natural type of responses. Back in prehistoric times, this was our survival instincts, and they were helpful. So things like anxiety were helpful back then because it saved your life. But in this day and age, now our body is reacting to some stress at work, or presenting a project, or going to an unfamiliar place with people you don't know. Now our bodies are reacting to that as if we're about to get chased by a very dangerous animal that's trying to kill us. So really our bodies are just trying to protect us when we're in survival mode, but it can actually cause a lot more problems with health in the long term, as well as mental state, and it's just not a fun thing to be dealing with. And some people get stuck in it their entire lives. So if you're watching this video, you're doing great. You're already on the first steps to be able to heal yourself from this and not remain stuck like this your entire life. You may know people around you who may seem like they're and have been stuck in this for a very long time. So now we're going to jump into some examples of how this may be showing up and some ways that may help you to start getting out of these patterns and in turn getting out of survival mode. So the best example, and if you live in America, and no, especially if you live in like a bigger city like New York or something, you know that it's a very go, go, go place. So I would go to assume that this country's survival mode, being chronically active in many people, is pretty common. Anyway, so getting mad at something out of your control, like a car going slow or being stuck in traffic. When I was in survival mode and not realizing it, I would tense up. I would be so annoyed. I'd be so tense, and I'd be like this at the steering wheel. I'd be like, just go. Like I couldn't do anything. I couldn't get around the car. Or sometimes I would be able to get around the car, but I would just prefer to stay behind the car and be mad for some reason, and that's kind of like a victim mindset type thing. Definitely going to be making some videos on that because that's also important. Some people, when you're stuck in your victim mindset, it's easy to make excuses when there's a clear solution. But anyway, if you're stuck behind a car that's going slow, or a person who's walking slow, or you're stuck in traffic and there's nothing you can do to get around them, rather than tensing up and being like, this person needs to move and letting them get you all mad, instead take a deep breath and remind yourself, there's nothing I can do right now, so I might as well calm down and enjoy my time, or find a way to enjoy my time, rather than worry about something that I cannot control at all. This is where you can look for the positive side of the situation. If there's nothing you can do about something, if you can't solve the situation, then think of an alternative way to make it not something that's ruining your day. And on top of that, I would like to say, nobody else can ruin your day. You are the only one who can choose if something ruins your day or not. So remember that. So if I'm in a situation where I'm stuck in something like that, I'll start to think, okay, maybe I'll just enjoy this present moment instead of freaking out over something I can't control. Wow, look at the sun shining on the field over there. It's really pretty. Wow, look at that bird in the sky over there. Wow, I wouldn't have noticed that if I was still tensed up at the wheel, like, let's go. And the more times you change that perspective from the freaking out over something you can't control to a more positive option, you're actively decreasing that neural pathway in your brain that jumps to survival mode. You're telling your body it's safe to calm down and take a look around, which is why, if you ever seen the panic attack protocol things, one of them is to pay attention to your surroundings, because your body knows it's safe if you're taking the time to look at the detail and this and that. I also like to think, okay, maybe this is just God saying you need to slow down. Many times this has happened in many different situations, or I've at least heard a story about people saying, oh, if I had passed that person, or if I had been able to go a little bit faster, I would have gotten to the car wreck that was in front of me. Or you were gonna miss a sign that has been provided for you by the universe. Or, my favorite, it could be letting you avoid seeing somebody you don't want to see. Do you know how many times I have been slightly slowed down by somebody and I was getting annoyed, and I got to wherever I was going and I saw some person that I most certainly would have ran into if I hadn't been behind that slow person that just maybe a few seconds late or a couple minutes late. And so after that, I started thinking, okay, what ways can I just look at this as something good? Because at this point, the amount of times specifically it has stopped me from running into somebody is kind of outrageous. It has probably happened at least 20 times. So now I'm like, okay, you know what? Actually, why am I getting mad? It's probably stopping me from seeing somebody I don't want to see. So yeah, okay. So even if it's not true, you can just make up a stupid thing and be like, okay, well, it's saving me from this. Something that aligns for you. Or look for evidence of what it actually is doing if it is helping you from something. Maybe you were going to a place and you would have missed running into somebody who's going to change your life, change your career, or you're going to find person you're going to marry and the perfect timing that person had stalled you going slow on the street, you wouldn't have run into them. Think of all of those opportunities that you could miss, or the bad opportunities, or the bad things that you did miss because of these things, or that wrong turn. Anything. There's so many options. But it is just so much more fun when you add some life to it rather than thinking, oh, this is so annoying, this happened, I was slowed down, I was late, blah, blah, blah. There was nothing you could do about it. So don't complain about it and just think, okay, what good can I make out of this? Because there's no point making negative stuff out of it. It doesn't help you. And neither does tensing up. If you're already late, there's not really a sense in rushing. That's another thing. Subconscious behaviors may also make certain things happen. Your brain looks for certain evidence of things. So if you're in survival mode and you're looking for negative things, you're going to see a lot more negative things. You're going to notice a lot more negative things, or you're going to make negative things out of something that wasn't negative. Something I noticed was that I was intentionally making myself late, subconsciously, but I was doing it. I would get up, be ready early, and then I would think of something else. I'm just going to do this. And then it'd be super late. Every time I'd wake up with plenty of time and then somehow it would just be super late. And I'd be so confused on why it was happening until I realized that I was basically doing it on purpose to keep this pattern going, even though I wasn't doing it consciously on purpose, but sort of. I didn't really know what I was doing when I was doing that. I said, I have a little bit of extra time so I can just do this. If you are intentionally making yourself late subconsciously, so I guess it's not like intentional, but like kind of. If you're the type of person who says, oh, I'm always late to things, first of all, don't claim it, because everything you say to your brain, especially repeatedly, it's going to start to pick up on that. That's why affirmations work. And the things you say to yourself are very important, so don't say negative affirmations to yourself. You don't want to be putting that in your brain. Even if you believe it's true, just stop saying it. Start saying the opposite. Even if you don't believe it, just start saying the opposite. You know what? I'm always early. I always get everywhere perfectly on time. I always have plenty of time. Every time I've said that, it started actually working, and then I forget to say it, and then I fell back into the old pattern. I'm like, oh shoot. But once you notice it, it's easier to fix. Another thing is multitasking in a lot of situations can be putting you in survival mode. It can be making things harder for you. And that's another thing with the same type of thing is being late. You could kind of subconsciously, intentionally be making things more stressful for you because you're used to being in a stressful state, you're used to doing more or being on the go or something similar. If you're multitasking, sometimes it makes it harder to even do it and you're getting things done less efficiently, less well. And even if you are doing a good job at doing both, you're not doing a good job for your mental health, your mental state, because you're encouraging that survival mindset. And it's like pretty baked in there if you don't know this is a thing and these are things that you've been doing for a long time. For so much of my life, I would get so mad at people for moving slowly, for talking slowly, for doing anything slowly. I would be so mad. I used to walk through the halls at school and be like, oh, why are you going so slow? Hurry up. And I was in a rush nowhere, basically, to go sit in class and wait for the bell to ring. Like, I don't know. Or especially if you're driving and not in a hurry to go somewhere. I can see how it would make more sense if you're in a hurry to go somewhere because you're like, oh, I gotta get there. But again, if there's nothing you can do about it, just relax and let it go and say, you know what, like I can do about this. I'm not happy about this, but what can I make positive out of this? Yeah. So multitasking can be putting you in survival mode. So unless it feels good for you to be doing fully, stop doing it. Because a lot of the time, the things we're trying to do, it's not even more productive or getting us better results. It may be getting us worse results a lot of the time, but we don't really notice because we're always multitasking. Like if you're watching TV, but you're also on your phone, even stuff like that, even non-productive stuff. So pay attention to where you're multitasking and see, am I just compensating to gain that feeling that's familiar of survival mode? If you've been in survival mode for a long time, your brain is going to kind of find some comfort in it because it's familiar. That's a similar reason why people who have a tough time in their childhood with parental figures or other family members then get into toxic relationships, because it's familiar for you and you know how to deal with it because you've survived it before. So absolutely pay attention to those type of patterns. Now also, something that I was really bad at, and that actually really was ruining my life so much and I didn't even notice, was clutter and mental clutter, both mental and physical clutter. I used to leave things everywhere. I used to be messy and unorganized. That made me so anxious. I'm sorry, it's getting dark in here. I should take a light out. Just turn the brightness up. Okay, sorry, it's getting dark in here. The light is not working for me. It doesn't look good. We're almost done with the video, so we're gonna hang in there. Just gonna have to deal with the low light. Yeah, background clutter, whether it's in your mind, if you're putting a bunch of things off, that can also be putting you in survival mode. It's kind of just this pile of anxiety in the back of your mind. Even if you're not thinking about it all the time, it's there lingering and you know you have to do it at some point. So then that starts to add to the pile of things you're anxious about. And what used to happen to me all the time was I would be anxious. I didn't even know why I was anxious, but it was because of the things like the physical clutter around me. I wasn't keeping a clean area, and I was putting off things I needed to do in my mind and ignoring them. And in turn, I was making it scarier for me to think about actually doing it, because my brain was looking at it as, oh, well, if she doesn't want to do this and she's putting it off, then this must be dangerous. We must need to avoid this, but we have to do this. So it would be creating all of this mental chatter in the back of my head that would just always be on. So if you deal with anxiety I'm actually going to do a full video on anxiety, all the things I learned, because the transformation I've gone from since 3 years ago is actually insane. I used to be so riddled with anxiety that it was ruining my life for so many years. And so I'm going to make a video on that. I have the whole thing written out and everything. So if you're interested in seeing that, you can stay tuned for when I post that, which will probably be pretty soon. But yeah, and physical clutter also holds energy, just by the way you think of it, first of all, but also if you have belongings that are from negative times in your life, if you can get rid of it, even if you're kind of attached to it, you'll feel a lot better, because items do hold energy. And a good example of this is one year I was packing to go on vacation and I was putting my clothes out on the bed, and a lot of them were clothes that held negative energy, and I was already kind of stressed about the trip because I was doing back-to-back 2 different things. And as soon as I started putting those clothes out on the bed, I started like feeling the feelings that I have felt wearing them. I don't know. And as soon as I ended up getting rid of those clothes, I felt a relief after getting rid of them. So things hold energy. So if there's certain things that you're noticing are feeling this way, then it's definitely worth getting rid of them. And it's always worth keeping a clean and organized space, because it will start to mess with you mentally. I always just put things away right after I'm done with them. And if I notice I missed something, put it away right then. And I always remind myself that my future self will thank me right now, even if I don't want to do something. I'm like, okay, well, you're going to be happy you did it tomorrow if you do it right now. And so that'll kind of encourage me to do something right now instead. So if you have like a lot of clutter, just start a little bit at a time. A little bit's going to go a long way. The last one of how you can deal with the feelings that survival mode leaves you. When you're overstimulated or feeling overwhelmed or feeling anxious, talking calmly to yourself and reminding yourself you are in control, everything's okay, there's nothing to worry about, we're safe, there's no lion chasing us, we're okay. Don't make yourself feel stupid, because I did that all the time. I used to get so mad at myself for being stressed out about a stupid thing. Once I started being nicer to myself, imagine if there was a kid you cared about, or there was your friend or somebody you care about that was feeling that way. You wouldn't say, "You're stupid, stop feeling that way," would you? I hope not. So be nicer to yourself, because it's not helpful to be mean to yourself about it. Even if you're frustrated that you're getting annoyed at something, I also look at myself as like the child version of myself, and I'll say, okay, I know you're feeling this way, I understand where it's coming from, but it's gonna be okay, we have this covered, there's nothing to worry about. And sometimes I'll also journal when I feel stressed. When I would be going through a lot of my really anxious feelings and I'd start to not be able to control that feeling, I'd grab my notes app. Usually I just go on my notes app because that was like the closest thing to me. I didn't feel like pulling out a pen and paper. Now that I journal all the time, it's easier to get those things out and not have to get to the point where I'm like, oh my god, I have to write it all down right now, because I'm writing it down every day, and so I don't have to have those things building up over time to get to the point where I'm already past that point where I can rationally work through it. But yeah, so if you're starting to feel like things are getting too much, write them down. Write the things that you have been putting off in your mind down. Write out what could help you, what could get you past this feeling, what you need, what's been bothering you, everything, even if it sounds stupid, even if it's like, this person kind of looked at me funny today and like I feel victimized. I don't know. I can't think of a good example, but just writing it down can really be helpful. And I'm sorry about the lighting. I need a better lighting setup. I didn't think this video was going to be this long. It's probably not that long after I'm done filming it, or maybe it is, I don't know. Editing, I mean, done editing. Anyway, so yeah, I'm going to do a video on victim mindset and anxiety that kind of work in with these type of things. In the near future, probably the anxiety one coming out first, but that's going to be a long video, so might do 2 parts, or I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, if you have any other video suggestions that you'd like to see, please leave them below in the comments. And also, if you have anything you want to add to this video, anything you noticed, anything, please leave it below in the comments. And subscribe to this channel if you are interested in seeing more things like self-improvement and mindset shift and manifestation, many different things. So if you're interested in that, please feel free to subscribe. I'd love to have you as a part of this community. Please like this video if you enjoyed it, if it was helpful for you, and I'll see you in the next video. And sorry about the bad lighting. One more time.